What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, and I have finally returned after a good bit of time off, about a week and a half or so, and there hasn't been much NBA news going on until the last few days. Kevin Durant has come out and, reiterated his request of a trade and mentioned, or at least debated with the front office of the Brooklyn Nets about whether or not he is going to stay. In return, he wants Steve Nash and Sean Marks, the general manager, to be fired and kicked out of the organization essentially for good, which is kind of contradicting what he did when he came in. If you guys take into account how good the Nets were before Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they had just made a playoff run. That team was extremely fun. Jarrett Allen was a young up-and-coming center. You had D'Angelo Russell, who was kind of reliving his career a little bit. He was in Golden State, then he came to Brooklyn, and he went from Brooklyn to Golden State, and he had an okay season. Then now he's in Minnesota, where he struggled, but when he was in Brooklyn, he was having a good season. They had a fun team. Spencer Dinwiddie came out and finally balled out. He became the player that a lot of people thought he could be a few years ago, and he looked like he would continue that. Obviously, he hasn't. The last few seasons have not been kind to him, whether injuries or just lack of quality play. Spencer Dinwiddie has fell off the map, and now Kevin Durant comes into Brooklyn. You sign Kyrie Irving after trading technically for Kevin Durant. In a way, you sign him, but kind of a trade almost. But you bring in Kyrie Irving to play with them. You have a good team around them. You've got Jarrett Allen. You've got all these pieces. And then they say, hey, let's blow it up. They want DeAndre Jordan. So you get rid of Jarrett Allen. You bring in DeAndre Jordan, who, by the way, is absolutely washed. You give up a lot of assets for a James Harden who is not even near what he should be, at least physically wise. The prime of his career is obviously behind him as far as MVP caliber play. I think he can still be an all-star. Obviously, he's still a very, very solid NBA player and a good player at that, but he is not what he used to be. You traded multiple pieces, a couple picks for James Harden, and he comes in, and the three of them, maybe played 30 games together. I don't know the exact number, but I know it wasn't a lot. This team just completely blew up quicker than anybody could have expected. I didn't expect them to work out like after last season, where they failed to make the play or make a push to the finals after losing to the Bucks in 7. But they came into this year, they reiterated it. They got a few new pieces. That Seth Curry trade was very, very good for them when they did trade James Harden. I thought those pieces were going to be enough around Kyrie and KD to help them move on. Obviously, the Kyrie situation with the whole vaccine, all of that stuff is unfortunate, and I don't know if I'd really blame it on Kyrie, but he wasn't able to play, so that could take into account or be a reason why they lost so easily in the playoffs. They didn't have much chemistry together, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of tired of people not taking Kevin Durant into account when they talk about toxic NBA players. He's had 2 coaches fired in 3 seasons now, if this happens to have Steve Nash fired, and he has had a lot of trades done. Everybody always makes the LeBron jokes. He's the GM. He's going to make moves. If he doesn't like you, you're getting traded. There's always been those jokes, but Kevin Durant does the same thing to a degree, and in my opinion, the only reason people don't agree with this narrative is because of the years he spent in Golden State, where they had a good team. There was no need for him to make a move or to force a player out or force himself out. Steve Kerr was a good coach. He didn't need to get him fired. They still had their arguments, though. Draymond Green is a good defensive player and an okay offensive player. Obviously, him and Kevin Durant did not get along at all, and then we saw what happened there. KD basically wanted Draymond gone. Draymond didn't leave, and Kevin Durant left. I mean, you can go back a long time throughout Kevin Durant's career and just see the beef that he's had with other players, most specifically with his teammates, and it's just kind of crazy to think that the Nets are about to allow this to happen to them. Now, the situation's a little different, though, because a lot of people think the Nets have to trade Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is under contract for at least another season or 2, I believe, so they have no, need to move quickly. They have all the power in the world. They have the leverage. After the Rudy Gobert trade, where the Timberwolves gave up 5 first-round picks basically and a bunch of good young players, the Nets are expecting a lot for Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, Kevin Durant is light years ahead of where Rudy Gobert is as a player, but giving up that much for a guy that's not really going to be in this prime for a much longer, in my opinion, is a very delicate subject, and that's something you have to think about before you pull the trigger. And the Nets are asking for a ton. We obviously know with the Raptors they wanted Scotty Barnes. With a lot of other teams, they're wanting these young pieces. With the Suns, they want Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and multiple picks. And if you're Phoenix, you got to wonder, if you give up those pieces, are you even good enough to be a contender just with the 3 superstars? Obviously, probably yes, but you need role players on the court for you. You need those guys that glue you together, those glue guys, and that's something Mikal Bridges does at a fantastic level. So this situation is only getting more interesting. Kevin Durant coming out lately, or the interview, I believe it was a face-to-face interview between both sides, and you know, obviously it got leaked into the media, so it's a not a safe or a private discussion anymore. Kevin Durant has clearly stated what his point is, or where he stands on this situation. He basically wants out of Brooklyn unless Brooklyn is willing to completely revamp the team again for him and Kyrie. I don't even know if he wants Kyrie on the team, though, is the main thing. So at the end of the day, the Nets are in a sticky situation. I hate to see a team have to do this or be in a situation like this, but it's just how it is when you have a guy like Kevin Durant or a guy like Kyrie Irving. Chances are we're still going to see Kyrie traded to the Lakers, and the owner of the Nets has come out and said that he stands with the front office and the coaches before any of the players. So chances are KD will get traded, but what he gets traded for is something we'll continue to joke about and wonder about, because the Nets are not making it easy at all for the teams looking to trade for Kevin Durant. And it's going to be interesting to see how this situation unfolds across the next few weeks going into the preseason and starting the regular season. I'm very excited to see where Kevin Durant ends up, but it's getting late into the season or off season, and no moves have been made. So there's a chance that we don't see him traded at all until the regular season begins, and that would be absolutely crazy for the Nets to do that. But they have all the power in the world with this trade situation. And how do you guys feel about this? I've always been a fan of teams standing with their coaches, toxic players, guys that want to push coaches out even after successful seasons. You know, I don't think really have a place in the league, but obviously superstars are going to have their egos, so it's going to be something that keeps happening for the next years to come. So at the end of the day, something that we're going to experience no matter what player we're talking about. Kevin Durant obviously is a generational talent, so he has a little bit more leverage than a role player like Bruce Brown would have had. So at the end of the day, I don't know which side the Nets are going to choose, but they need to choose quickly, and they need to make their stance known to Kevin Durant and to the public. How do you guys think about this situation? Comment down below your thoughts. Overall, it's been a tricky one. Thank you guys for watching this. I've missed this type of content. It's been a while since I made a video. Like I said, a week and a half. I've been on vacation, a couple days off after that. And I just appreciate you joining me back as I come back into the groove of things. Thank you guys for watching this one. I will see you next time. Peace out, y'all.